मेरे जीवन च यात्रा दा की महत्व है? How much do I value it?
See, I've always loved traveling. That was partly the reason why I moved to the UK. I've always wanted to travel. And I always wanted to see a new place and a new culture and a new feel. That led me to many different places. Not just in the UK, but abroad. I made it to Italy. We had a wonderful time in Italy. I looked at Italy and I was like, wait, this looks like India. Because I could see a lot of beauty, a lot of, people and culture and food and colors. Like, it reminded me of India because Italy is quite raw. They are unapologetically culturally rich, and I like that. I like that side of Italy where they just love to be a culture full of rawness. And however, in Italy, I had to go through a lengthy process of applying for visa as a citizen of India, which was heartbreaking and heart crushing because first of all, I was not able to get any appointments for the visa. VFS, I will tag you on this, had no appointments in London, and I live very close to London, 2 hour drive from Bournemouth to London, and I couldn't get any appointments. So let me walk you through the process of applying for Italian visa if you're planning to go to Italy at any point. Maybe this video can help you in that sense, because going to a Schengen country with your Indian passport can be a troublesome thing. But it was totally worth it for me because I wanted to see Italy badly. I went with my wife and we had really thought it through that it's gonna be a lengthy process and we gotta be patient about it if we really want to go. So if you are planning to go to Italy or to any Schengen or European countries, with your not so powerful passport, you just want to make sure that you look at the processes, which involves applying for an appointment, which I did from the UK. And after waiting for days and weeks and spending endless nights trying to look for appointments, we managed to secure an appointment in Edinburgh, where I flew from London to Edinburgh for my appointment. Timing was quite inconvenient. I had my appointment in the morning and there were no flights that could get me just before the appointment. I had to go a day early and spend a day in Edinburgh and spend in the dormitory somewhere which was cheap. And then I had my appointment. I had to wait for an hour before I was called out. No one really told me what I was doing. I had to ask them, where am I supposed to go for Italy? There are like hundreds of countries people have applied for. After a short while, I was sent to a corner where I was called, and then I showed them my papers, and there was one thing missing. And that was my insurance. My travel insurance didn't cover all of Schengen. So in my head I thought, okay, I have got the travel insurance for Italy and that should be sufficient. I had to call my travel insurance the same moment I was told that this won't be acceptable because this travel insurance only covers Italy. I called them and gladly they were quite happy to help me and happy to change my travel insurance from Italy to Schengen countries, all over Schengen. They changed it. I had to provide a provisional evidence that I had changed it. Stressful. I mean, given that I had to fly to Edinburgh to get to Italy and had to spend 2 days trying to get to this appointment, and the endless nights, finding an appointment in the first place was already so stressful. And on top of that, you get to experience this insurance thing, and there were other, there's not a lot of evidence about the hotel bookings and all of that, but I had that in my paperwork. I had where I was staying, where I was going, airline tickets, flight tickets, all of that was there. But she was like, oh, but you've booked it through a travel agency, you need to provide more evidence. It didn't make sense to me personally, and I was finding it quite stressful and quite draining, quite exhausting. So after submitting my paperwork, after figuring out the insurance thing right away and submitting it all, I came back to Bournemouth and went about my life thinking, okay, I'll get to hear from them sooner or later. After a couple of weeks, I got to hear from them, and they were asking for more paperwork through the email. They said, you have to provide your hotel bookings, because the travel agent has not given a proper address of the hotel you're going to be staying at, whereas we had mentioned the hotel in there. But anyway, long story short, I had to provide yet another evidence that I was actually going to stay in that hotel. It's quite a taxing process. But finally, I made it to Italy, and after all this faff and all this, unnecessary or necessary, whatever you want to call it, problems, I made it to Italy. Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to countries like Bhutan, South Africa, Italy. Well, I live in the UK, so it doesn't technically count. But I had the opportunity to be here as well. But it didn't come very easy. I had to apply for these visas, which are very lengthy and very taxing in many ways. I have been to South Africa for my master's project, and I think, put the link in the description on my first video, and I can put the link on this video as well. I think that was one of the biggest trips I've been on, like on a professional level, on a life level, because I went there for 1.5 months, and I was in South Africa in the jungles, in the private reserve, for 1.5 months, filming and shooting and doing lots of things, lots of cool things. But even for South Africa, I had to apply for the visa, and I have taken it out on Twitter and on Instagram, where I tagged and said, because I was not able to get my visa on time, I had to reschedule my flights. It was not good, honestly. That's about it with South Africa as well. And life kind of moves on, but I'm really hoping there will be a time when I really want to just travel without having to think about applying, and really, like, just if I want to travel, I can just go to another country, without any problems, without all this lengthy, unnecessary process. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part, and I shall see you next time. Thank you. Toodles.